So this first Japanese Grand Prix at Fuji for 30 years, going to start behind the safety car. The last time we had a Grand Prix starting in that situation was at Brazil back in 2003, if you remember. So it's been a while since we've had such treacherous conditions, but everybody out there is a professional, particularly the safety car driver, and no one's going to take any unnecessary risks.
Antonio Liuzzi, who qualified with a dry setup yesterday, has elected to go into the pit lane, or start from the pit lane in the Toro Rosso with the full wet setup. And his teammate Vettel, who is 8th on the grid, had that wet setup. I think, James, the drivers who are going to be struggling out there are the Ferrari boys. They've got less downforce than McLaren. They had 5 kilometers an hour more straight line speed, and we've seen Ferrari off the road all through the wet practice and qualifying, and even Raikkonen going off the road on a slow lap to the grid.
We saw the sign saying pit lane open, and that's because under safety car conditions, when the green lights go on the starting gantry and the safety car drives away, the race is actually underway. So we are now counting down the laps. There is no formation lap behind the safety car, if you like. Sorry, there is no formation lap here for this race. We are now under race conditions. So, as I say, the clock is counting down, and at 1 minute 58 and 45 seconds to go before the race finishes. And depending on how long this safety car stays out, I say we might actually end up hitting the 2-hour barrier, at which point the race will be finished. There is also another consideration, which is if they have to stop the race, if the rain gets very heavy later on, as long as they've done 75% of the race distance, then the drivers will be awarded full points for the race. So hopefully we won't get into any of that. Hopefully we'll be able to get a decent race going together, and everybody following behind a safety car. They've got to stay no more than 5 car lengths apart, according to the regulations. That's what it looks like in Kovalinen's cockpit. Just watch the water there. It's coming seeping down the sides. It's like a miserable holiday in Scotland on a rainy day. But water pouring in down the sides and going into the back of Kovalinen's overalls.
I'm finding this difficult to believe, but apparently the Ferraris are on what I call the intermediate. And we've got a Ferrari off already, aquaplaning off the road. The race is underway. He won't be now allowed to repass, but if they are on those intermediate tyres, they're completely crazy. He's spun off in the standing water I was just talking about, and that is the lottery of these conditions. You can actually just fly off the road in a straight line at 150 miles an hour, and now Massa pits for presumably the full wets.
Tech Rabbits.
Yeah, it is for full wets. They've clearly been told by Charlie Whiting, no, boys, don't you try this. Come on, before I give you the black and orange, this car is dangerous flag, come in. Also, there's Felipe Massa finding out there's absolutely no grip. So, well, that scuppered his race.
And his championship. He needed the other cars in front of him all not to finish and for him to win today. But from now where he is, he cannot, of course, overtake. He is now at the back of the queue for when this race starts. And with the amount of field spread we're going to get in these wet conditions and this tight, twisty rear end of the circuit as well. That is Raikkonen diving into the pit lane. And he too is being forced to make a stop. And he goes on to the same tyres now as the 2 McLarens are on at the front of the grid. Look at the difference in the grooves. Shallow grooves coming off, deeper grooves going back on. That's the tyre everyone else is on. A great opportunity for Jenson Button if they do get this race started from 4th place to do something here this afternoon. But as you can see, the conditions are very, very bad. That the race will then restart again under the safety car. So that's what will happen if we are forced to suspend the race. But interestingly, the clock will not stop, so it'll still keep ticking down towards the 2-hour mark behind the safety car, because they were the only cars then remaining who are going to have to make 2 stops here this afternoon. And sooner or later, they're going to have to pit for fuel as Liuzzi's problems continue, and he comes into the pits. His teammate, incidentally, Sebastian Vettel, managed to qualify in 8th place, an absolutely fantastic effort by the young German. First time this season, Toro Rosso have been in the top 10 in qualifying. Liuzzi makes a tyre change and puts some fuel in.
So are they now just fueling these cars so they'll go to the end and hope that if this goes all the way behind safety car to just clear the 75% of the minimum distance, are they hoping to just end up with track position? Well, some of the drivers at the front are going to be going, yeah, it's good, let's go racing, it's fine. But Louise has found Christian Horner.
Christian, I know your drivers have been on the radio. What have they been saying to you?
Obviously, the conditions are really bad out there, and visibility is close to zero. But we think, hopefully the FIA are keeping a close look on it and won't start the race until it becomes, a safe condition.
Any suggestion from the drivers that, the FIA really should call this all off and let's bring the cars in?
They've been pretty vocal about their concerns in the mid-grid, but, I think, they're both experienced boys and they should be okay. We've had a bit of fun. Mark's just thrown up in the car. He had something not so good to eat last night, but he's feeling a lot better now.
Well, this race certainly could be decided by whoever's got the biggest fuel tank and can make the earliest pit stop as a result of that. And also whoever's feeling inclined to gamble, certainly anyone towards the back of the field as the Ferraris were. This is interesting. Massa was in front of Raikkonen before Raikkonen made that additional stop. I bet you Massa's behind him when they come out. They'll want Raikkonen to be in front of Massa, because if the race is stopped and it never gets started, Raikkonen's the one who's going to get the big points, not Massa. And of course it's Raikkonen who has a chance of winning the World Championship still.
Yeah, that could be, as boring as it seems, a pit stop from the back of the field. That could be one of the most crucial moments of the afternoon. We'll see if I'm right or not. We'll find out a little bit later on, but it does depend if the safety car stays out. But looking out of this commentary box window, I see nothing out there that suggests they should be bringing the safety car in.
Hamilton has allowed the safety car to pull away from him. He is going to bide his time. He is allowed to pick the moment. He's playing chicken with Alonso. You're not allowed to overtake before the start-finish line, of course. You can see Jenson Button there, fourth, has got Mark Webber nibbling at his heels, and it's a question of when does Lewis put the hammer down and what does Alonso do about it. Lewis has now gone. He's not allowed to overtake him. He's trying to force him into a mistake. A wonderful piece of gamesmanship by Lewis Hamilton, and away he goes. And now Alonso's riding his slipstream. He pulls out to have some sort of visibility as they go across the start-finish line, and we are racing at Fuji Speedway for the first time in 30 years. Lewis Hamilton leads them away. Alonso is second. Third is Heidfeld. Fourth Button. Fifth Webber. Sixth Vettel. Seventh Kubica. And eighth Fisichella. And the run down to the first corner is a lot more simple for Hamilton than it was in Spa 2 weeks ago. Alonso is behind him. Where is the third place man? Heidfeld has had a problem. Jenson Button has gone past him, so too has Mark Webber, and third place man Heidfeld now gets passed by teammate Kubica, as at the front Lewis Hamilton pulls away from his teammate Alonso. We've got an accident there, and it looks like Felipe Massa in the Ferrari and Alex Wurz, who are at the back of the field, have collided.
Well, what a massive relief this is going to be for those that were getting short of fuel, that they've started the race, but already carnage then down at that first corner as they've tried to guess where the braking point is going to be. And clearly Wurz looks like he's got it wrong, gone straight into the back of Massa. He's away really from the firing line of turn one. He's dropped it a long way before the corner and just sideswiped Massa. Surely that must have damaged the Ferrari. And what will they be able to do with that? And he's gone straight through.
It's his drive-through. It's his drive-through penalty, of course, which he had to serve.
Yes, you're not allowed to serve it behind the safety car, are you?
Exactly. You're not allowed to serve it behind the safety car. We saw that in the Nürburgring, and he's gone straight on at turn one. I think he's getting a little hot under the collar, Felipe Massa. And they're vying for fastest sector times. Alonso fastest first sector, Hamilton fastest middle sector. Here's a look at what happened between Button and Heidfeld. And Button, did he lose his front wing? He's very lucky if he didn't. Yeah, he did. He's staying out in fifth place with no front wing.
How does that work? Because that's a replay of some time ago, isn't it? Of a couple of laps ago. Can't be, surely. He cannot be doing those kind of times with no front wing at all.
Yeah, well, he's doing 1:34.9s, and Hamilton's doing 1:29, so he's 5 seconds a lap slower. But, I mean, downforce is so important on a rainy day. There's a damaged front wing of Takuma Sato, 17th place man in the Super Aguri Honda. That's just slightly more of a problem because it's tucked up under the front wheels.
Yeah, and if that goes under your wheel, under braking, you just go straight to the scene of the accident. You just skid along on your own wheel.
Let's take another look at what happened.
Maybe the fuel flap is stuck open or something and it was leaking fuel. Still be in front of their main championship rivals.
They certainly will. Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber in third and fourth places will go longer than the McLarens. They, like most people, decided to do a one-stop race, so they were going to carry about 7 laps more fuel, maybe more, maybe 8 or 9 laps more fuel than the McLarens, so they will go quite some way. And of course, once the McLarens come out, they'll have Vettel and Webber in front of them, and they'll have to get past them. We believe this is for Fernando Alonso. That's what we're being told from the pits. Second place man, 3 seconds behind teammate Lewis Hamilton. There is Alonso, and into the pit lane he comes. Full wet tyres, as you would imagine, going on. Still raining very hard here in Fuji. The clouds have descended, the mist has descended. In fact, I can't even see the cars driving out of turn 6, which is less than half a kilometre away from me. They just drive out of the corner and disappear into the mist.
Yeah, Hamilton's gone fastest of anybody on that lap as Alonso pits. We can assume Hamilton will be shortly afterwards, and they'll fuel that McLaren then to the end of the Grand Prix. That's why he's waiting so long. And away he goes. Looks a neat and tidy stop. So Hamilton will push hard now. This could well be his in-lap anyway, so he should resume the lead.
And Fisichella has just gone past us in the commentary position in the Renault, and hopefully in front of Fisichella. Critical stop for McLaren then. Ted.
He does, yes, but of course Fisichella does still have to stop. Let's see if Lewis can hit his marks. Oh, perfect stop so far from Lewis. And new wet tyres go on. They've only got 3 sets of these wet tyres, but that's a brand new set going on. Fuel to the finish, exactly like Fernando Alonso. And good work by McLaren boys. 11.6 seconds. Absolutely seamless.
Vettel has gone past. He leads the Japanese Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel in the Toro Rosso leads. Second is Mark Webber, who has also gone through. But can Hamilton get out of front of the train of cars headed by Fisichella? It's got Alonso behind him. There goes the back marker Sato. There is the Renault, and Hamilton's done it. Of course, these cars all have to stop again, but critically for Hamilton, he's in front of them, and Alonso isn't. That's the order at the moment then. Vettel, Webber, Hamilton, Fisichella, Kovalainen.
That's when we heard the drivers saying it's just too dangerous, get this stop. That was at safety car speeds, remember, not at racing speeds. Once they released the pack, they've been, generally speaking, fine, although we've seen lots of people tripping over each other. Massa, so lucky there not to lose his front wing.
So, Sebastian Vettel leads the Grand Prix for Toro Rosso, with Mark Webber second, Hamilton third, and Kovalainen in fourth place. David Coulthard is having a strong drive in the Red Bull. Poor old Jenson Button we saw knocking his front wing off. He fancied his chances of a podium today. He's now in 20th place. Into the pits comes Sebastian Vettel at 20, surely one of the youngest drivers ever to lead a lap of a Formula One race. He's led 4 of them in his Toro Rosso. He certainly put them on the map this weekend with an excellent performance in qualifying and a stunning drive in the opening stages of this rain-soaked Japanese Grand Prix here at Fuji Speedway. Mark Webber is now the leader for Red Bull Racing, but he still has to make his pit stop. There is Fernando Alonso, who is battling with Nick Heidfeld over 8th place. And there is Kimi Raikkonen, who moment as we approach the halfway stage in this Grand Prix. A lot of racing still to go, but here you can see Heidfeld having a go at Alonso, and it's not the first time this season that the BMW has passed Alonso's McLaren.
Alonso's very slow on this set of tyres. He's lost a full 14 seconds now. Remember, he was 3 seconds behind Hamilton before these pit stops started. He's now 14 seconds behind him. We'll have to wait for the replay, but it is for position because Hamilton stopped, Kubica hasn't. Mind that white line on the braking, on the pit lane exit there, Lewis. That will be slipperier than you can ever imagine. So trouble then for both McLarens, with both BMWs giving them a hard time for pace.
I think it might be the Renault, you know. No, it's the BMW. There you go.
Oh, look, he just ran into the side of it.
That's rude.
So at least his car seems in one piece. And Kubica's gone for the inside normal racing line and just understeered clean into Lewis, who would not have seen that one coming at all. Anti-stall kicks in, thank goodness. What sort of lap time was it? It was 7 seconds off the pace. So he can recover from that, but it's not done him any favours at all.
Well, he's lost the position to Kubica, who surely will have his collar felt by the stewards for that one. He's gaining the position that way. Meantime, Heikki Kovalainen in the Renault, who has yet to make a pit stop, is now running in second place. So the order is Webber, Kovalainen, Kubica, Hamilton.
That's Alonso.
Alonso's down in 10th place and struggling
on
off the racetrack.
Road. Alonso down into turn 10.
Battling Vettel.
And this is that's not the same incident. It's yet another incident down into turn 1. So Alonso then also both McLarens pointing backwards.
Here comes a hard-charging Jenson Button, trying to make up from knocking off his front wing earlier on. He's attacking Jarno Trulli. This is a battle for 19th place. Jenson Button way down the field.
Battle for Japanese honour too, with Honda versus Toyota makes it stick, but it's for 19th, as you say, James. They are putting some fuel in, so they hadn't fueled him. The refueling hose is a very long time. It's only just gone on. So the refueling hose was going on as the tyres were completely finished and ready to go, but they didn't put much fuel in when they did get it.
26 laps to go as we look at a replay of the local driver Sakon Yamamoto having a spin in the spiker. Hamilton leads. Mark Webber is in second place.
Yamamoto spun because he turned in with his right rear wheel completely on the curb. It will only ever spin. That's a McLaren in the wall.
We just saw a shot of Hamilton. I believe this is Alonso. It is one of the two main championship contenders. Fernando Alonso has hit the wall.
And that's in the middle of the track, down in
turn 6, isn't it? Just down here.
It's down into turn 6. He's lost it coming out of 5 and hit the wall. He never approached the wall at the turning point of 6. He's gone straight in the wall. We're 5 laps away from this reaching 75% distance, which is quite often a crucial point if they do want. That's a big accident. If they do want to abandon the race, but yeah, he's aquaplaned.
23 laps to go in the Japanese Grand Prix from Fuji as 3 cars come into the pits. Liuzzi, Sutil, who were 5th and 9th respectively, and also Takuma Sato, who was running in 20th. We have lost the reigning world champion Fernando Alonso from this race. He hit the wall a few laps ago, and there he is getting onto his motorbike, back of a Marshall, and just still managing a wave for the crowd. But he knows what this incident is going to mean to him and his championship hopes. He was 2 points behind Hamilton going into this race. Lewis Hamilton leads the Grand Prix here with 23 laps to go. It's been an extraordinary race that is now under a safety car after that crash from Alonso while they clear the debris. But it's also started under a safety car. The first 19 laps of the race were under the safety car. Webber is looking at his second podium of the season, and Vettel looking at his first ever in Formula One. And boy, has Vettel stopped.
Oh, Webber's off.
Webber's off into the wall. I can't believe it.
He's aquaplaned off. Maybe he's just tried to warm his tyres up or something. Did he get anywhere near Hamilton when they were busy warming tyres or moving around the track? But somehow or other, Mark Webber, behind the safety car, has gone off far enough to hit the wall.
Vettel is now second then. The 20-year-old Sebastian Vettel takes up second place with Webber having gone off into the wall.
Well, let's wait and see he hasn't just parked it. Let's wait and see he hasn't just had a problem. And where are we? Yeah, he's spun it.
Oh, Vettel has been hit.
He's been hit by Vettel big time. Vettel is out as well. Vettel has just run. Oh, the Toro Rosso hits the sister car Red Bull. Vettel has run into the back of Mark Webber while they've been warming tyres and brakes.
You can't believe it. It was headed for a fairy tale for Webber and Vettel. And I guess the guy who owns the Red Bull teams, both of them, Dietrich Mateschitz, will be watching this in Austria and will be throwing something very large and heavy at his TV screen, because he was looking at a double podium here. Engine switched off. Toro Rosso are furious. And I was just saying how high Sebastian Vettel's stock must have got. It just went down like Northern Rock stock did in the last
wow. What are they doing? I mean, visibility's poor, but I suspect what happened is Webber was just warming his brakes as Vettel was warming his rear tyres, and they met in the middle. That puts Kovalainen up to second. Massa for Ferrari third.
Straight before he hit the hammer, he goes across the start-finish line. He's got 19 laps separating himself from the end of this Japanese Grand Prix as Massa has a look up the inside of Kovalainen, and it looks like he's going to keep on coming as we go into the first corner. Massa, he's tucked in behind Kovalainen now, who picks his braking point neatly for the first corner. Hamilton leads. Second is Kovalainen, third is Massa.
You're listening for when the guy in front lifts the throttle pedal as Ralf Schumacher exits the pits for Toyota, and Hamilton then leads Kovalainen. Massa, Wirtz is off the road for Williams. 75% full points scenario anyway, even if the race does get stopped for any reason now. We're into full points. So Hamilton leads, Kovalainen second, Massa third. Coulthard still solidly fourth, but Raikkonen very close to the back of him. Then there's 7 seconds clear of Fisichella, who's sixth.
Who's that off the racetrack? It's Antonio Liuzzi, I believe, in the Toro Rosso, who was in 10th place and still is from the looks of things. Oh no, Sutill's gone past him, so he's dropped down to 11th. Now, if it finishes this way, Rubens Barrichello, who is in 8th place, will score, would you believe it, his first point of the 2007 season. It's a pretty special day today for Rubens Barrichello because he equals Michael Schumacher's total of 248 race starts. So he's now the second most experienced driver in Formula One history. And in China, obviously, he'll become clear and move 1 place clear of Schumacher. And Riccardo Patrese is the next in his sights. And next year, around about Monaco time, possibly Canada, we will see Rubens Barrichello becoming the most experienced driver ever in the history of Formula One. I think he'll be hoping he has a bit more of a competitive car to celebrate that with.
Car 22's been off the track. That's Takuma Sato. He's down in 17th place. We've still got 17 runners, amazingly. It'll be interesting to see exactly why Alonso went off. I'm pretty sure he just ran a little bit wide in 5 and caught a bit of extra water or something.
He had been off the track a couple of times, hadn't he, before that. It was a little bit like Montreal, where we saw safety cars, Hamilton leading, Alonso off the track a couple of times, eerily reminiscent of that Grand Prix. Obviously, the conditions completely different here with this torrential rain, but Alonso was outstanding the last time we had a wet race, of course, at the Nürburgring, where he won, beating Felipe Massa in the very closing stages of the Grand Prix. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with Alonso as a wet weather driver. In fact, he's probably one of the very, very best out there.
Yeah, he had got damage to the side part of his car, of course, but he'd already done several laps with that damage. So Coulthard goes over the line. He's still in 4th place, and Ted has some further news.
Still raining in the pit lane, Martin, not quite as hard as 5 minutes ago, but just a thought on Fernando Alonso. All the McLaren mechanics here were paying very special close attention to the tub and how damaged that McLaren was, because of course with the Chinese Grand Prix next week they will have to make a decision now to send a new tub out from Woking, fly it out straight to Shanghai. They do have a T-car sitting here in the garage which is set up for Alonso, but they will, I fancy, have to fly a new car out.
Yeah, good point, Ted, good point. So still quite a way to go in this Grand Prix. It's 2.8 miles. We've got another 14 of those laps to go, including the one that they're on now. And Hamilton's lead up to 6.8 seconds then over Kovalainen.
Hamilton wins.